Well, the 2019 Global Health Estimates Suicide Report found that in South Africa in 2019, there were 13,774 suicides recorded. Close to 11,000 of those deaths were male. Men are 5 times as likely than women to commit suicide. And as today marks International Men's Day, the Cool Dads Foundation will be hosting the Fatherhood Conference in Sandton. The purpose of the conference is to discuss how men's legacies and fatherhood play a part in our society, as well as how men's characters and personalities can be positively changed. Well, joining me to discuss this further is Bongani Luvalo, who is the founder of the Cool Dads Foundation. Bongani, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us on our morning program today. I mean, it's International Men's Day, so happy International Men's Day, first of all.
Thank you very much, Tawaza. Thank you very much. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers.
I mean, ordinarily, we dedicate these days to celebrate men and, you know, the contributions that they make to society. But more importantly, I would argue, is to also raise awareness around men's general well-being. And that's the question, isn't it? You know, is enough attention being paid to the well-being of men?
Look, Tawazo, as Cool Dads Foundation, we're convinced that we don't think that the well-being of men are in the core of, you know, the societal business. You know, when we talk about health, when we talk about mental issues, you know, men are an afterthought. And probably because of most of the time, men have always been seen as, you know, even now, of course, are perpetrators of, you know, some of these, you know, social ills, you know, some of the violation of other human beings. And for that, you know, we have always been left, you know, to fend for ourselves, you know, in the marginal lines. And some of the problems that we're having in society are because there is no well capacitation, you know, on men, on how best they are needed in society, you know, how they behave, how they act towards their colleagues, their families, their own brothers, you know, how they conduct business, their work ethic, you know, their spiritual well-being. We take those things for granted because we've always perceived males as, you know, a stronger species, you know, as compared to women, as compared to children. And that's why the stats that you have just reflected on, you know, reflect or show, you know, the dire space that we as men find ourselves, you know. First and foremost, when we talk of violence, before we even talk about women and children, men are violent, men to men, you know. We attack each other, we kill each other, you know, we hijack each other. When we talk of mental health, issues of suicide, anxiety, depression, the stats are reflecting that the people who are in, you know, in big numbers are men, and we should be asking ourselves, what is happening? And because of that, we think that days like even the month that we're in, it's called November. It's supposed to be issues of men, mentality, and so on. But no one raises the bar, you know, to say we really need to pay attention and focus into these issues, as compared to, you know, when we start. This is not me belittling, you know, the importance of 16 days of activism, but you will see how the conversation is going to shift and be elevated once we step into that terrain, forgetting that the people that we're supposed to be speaking to are the big contributors of the issues that we'll be discussing on 16 days of activism. So in a nutshell, Ndogozo, men issues and the well-being of men, and we do not take it as seriously as society. That is inclusive of us as men and also women in these different communities.
You know, Bongani, there's a school of thought amongst psychotherapists that argue that for the last quarter of a century or so, much of the focus has been on the development of the, you know, the girl child. The idea is that in a world that is perceived to be a man's world, women have often been neglected and to this day remain a very vulnerable cohort of society, and that's why so much attention has been garnered to women. But in so doing, we've sort of passed over men and young boys. Your foundation is obviously trying to tackle that issue head on. What would you say are the main areas, the main challenges that men are facing in society today that absolutely are deserving of attention and are in need of development?
Look, I think first and foremost, men need spaces where they can ventilate. Men do not speak, you know. I was facilitating one session in another event yesterday that had to do with men and our mental issues. And one of the guys was saying, we as guys, even if I was to say this is my problem in front of my friends, we'll just have two comments, and from there, that issue will be made a joke, And not because of we'll try to belittle each other as men, but I think that's the nature of how men respond to some of, the challenges we face in life. And we think that a dialoguing space, as Cool Death Foundation, we're convinced that the more spaces we create for men to be able to speak to each other and to speak to issues that affect them, but also that make them men that society needs, is the better we're going to have a good society. If you look back in the olden days, or even some of the villages today, you would have something called Khoro Banna, a men's council, where men in a village would gather to discuss issues, issues of the community, where they'll discuss who is doing bad in society, how do we fix those who are conducting them like that, who are thieves, who are, stealing livestock, who is abusing women, who is neglecting their kids. Men used to gather and discuss those issues and be able to find solutions amongst themselves, where elderly men would be able to guide younger men, but also younger men were able to instill discipline amongst each other. Today, we do not hold each other accountable as men. That's another element that as we journey this life as men, as friends, as brothers, we do not hold each other accountable to the things that we are committed to, whether committed to our families, committed to our wives, our partners, our children, our mothers and our fathers. We do not come back and say, hey, Bongani, this is what you said you're going to do. Why are you not doing that? Bongani, you have a child. Why are you not taking care of that child?
Right.
Bongani, you have a partner. Why are you, putting your partner at harm? So the sooner we create room and space for men to be able to dialogue and be able to hold each other accountable in those dialogues, then we're going to try and have a healthier society where men are better in their mind space and they're going to be better in their actions.
Right. Well, Bongani, thank you so much for coming onto our platform this morning and sharing your insights with us. That's Bongani Luvalo, who is founder of the Cool Dads Foundation.